Alrighty. All right. Things are looking good. Let me just check the channel to make sure we're having no technical difficulties. But I can't see a reason why. Okay, yeah, it's looking fine. It's looking fine. Alrighty. Beautiful. Now we just let folks roll in. And everything should be golden. Alrighty. Hello there. Woo, first. Yeah, hey, we are back on YouTube. And I know it's a bit of an odd time. Gosh, I really hope the chat window works. Otherwise, that community chat thing up there is going to be real embarrassing. Damn, I don't see any. I don't see any of the chats popping up. Gameplay border chat box. I don't see. Man, that sucks. I was hoping that up there in the community chat thing, you would be able to see all of your little messages, and it would kind of feel like you know, like a public chat or something. But oh, I think my audio is coming out of the left ear only, isn't it? Boop. Now it's down mixed to mono, so it should sound okay. Man, that really sucks. Okay. Oh, there you are. You guys are... Okay, what is that thing called then? Cam border. Gameplay border. It's not gameplay border. Chat box. Oh, there you guys go. Boom. There we go. All right, perfect. Now we can start in earnest. I've been replaying Halo Reach, and man, the music is so good in that game, an absolute cinema. Yeah, Reach is probably around the time when the old guard at Bungie had really been able to nail the what you call it, like the pacing, you know, of the musical stingers and stuff, and just even like what music is appropriate at what time in the levels. Which, you know, granted, that's like the experience of working on Halo for 10 straight years. Here, let me share this. I am playing Halo 5 at 9:51 EST and talking about rec weapons. Wanna hop in? There we go. Favorite ruck weapon, guys? Razor Kraken dudes be like, great mic for the price. Was just playing an hour ago looking at that gorgeous glove design. Yeah, the gloves in Halo 5 look really good. A little bit too like snow glove, I think, for my likings for a Halo Spartan, but it definitely fits the aesthetic that they went for in Halo 5. If anything, you know. But confession, I have never played Halo 5 multiplayer. That's okay. Halo 5 multiplayer is pretty tough to get into these days. It's just a little bit too sweaty. I hopped on yesterday and got my ass soundly beaten. I am streaming Halo 5 multiplayer right now. Revisiting this game. Wanna join? Wanna hang out in the stream? Okay. And then I'll put like a GIF, you know? Halo 5. Yeah, that'll be good. Halo 5 multiplayer was the best part of the game. Yeah, definitely. There's some things about the campaign that I think are interesting. It's just that they're kind of buried by really not great design decisions, as well as, you know, like narrative issues. Yeah, like Halo 5's campaign, like a lot of the problems extend beyond just the narrative. I also think that the core gameplay of Halo 5's campaign has a lot of issues. Mostly for the same reasons that folks do like the multiplayer. Just that whole combat loop, or the whole like movement system, I don't think was well adapted for campaign play. LNG, do you think that this year we're going to see something for the next game, whether it be a remaster, spin-off, or mainline game? No, I don't think so. I doubt it. Games are not developed that quickly. But hey, guess what we're going to be doing? We are going to be, if any of you have Halo 5 installed and you guys feel like ruining your sleep schedule, you can certainly hop on multiplayer if you'd like. What I need though is I'm gathering footage for the evolution of Halo's Magnum, and what I need is the Combat Evolved pistol, because I blew my last 2 Combat Evolved pistols. So enjoy the slot machine right now as we try to gamble for it. Because that is the one that I really, really need some good footage of. Do you think Halo 5... Oh, Halo will ever come to PS5, or am I coping? I don't think it's a matter of will it come to PS5. I think it's a matter of when will it come to PS5. Because it is most certainly coming. So you think they haven't worked on anything besides Infinite for the past few years? Sort of. I think the relevant people have been working on Halo Infinite for the past 3 years, and everyone else was fired. Because don't forget, the whole campaign team was sacked. Same with, I think... No, it wasn't the whole art team. It was just most of the art team. To the point that they had to find a new art director, which you're not going to start development if you don't have an art director, you know? They didn't have narrative designers. You're not going to start development until you have those. Like, you know, you got to have all your ducks in a row before you properly start production. So I believe that they have been working on Halo Infinite. I believe those who were left after the firings were probably working on prototypes for things, but I don't believe that anything was actually properly in development. Are you spending money in Halo 5? God, no. God, no. I'm just using my little rec points down there to try to get some Combat Evolved pistols. because I am currently out of those, and for the evolution of the Magnum, I am going to need, I'm going to need that. Jesus, they fired the whole campaign team? Yeah, they, this was around 2023, I think. And that was around the time when Xbox was making massive layoffs. And at the time, word comes down from on high. 343 Industries needs to make some cuts to their spending. And so what, unfortunate. So the way that a good development team would be run is multiple different projects would be in development constantly, and the pipeline would be set up so that when teams finished one job, they'd be able to instantly shift and start working on the next job after a little break. But, the production issues of Halo Infinite, I think, were so public that basically they did not have that level of flexibility. They did not have multiple different projects in development that teams could seamlessly jump to. So what ended up happening from friends of mine was a lot of the campaign team, they'd come into work and they couldn't do anything. There was nothing to do. So it was very creatively frustrating and draining. And eventually word came up from on high that cuts needed to be made, studio spending needed to be decreased, and what that meant is the folks who don't have work right now, fire them all. And that's what happened. So the whole campaign team was gutted. Usually, like I said, the way that you can avoid a situation like that is you would have multiple different projects at various stages in production so that teams can kind of leapfrog each other and constantly stay working. But Halo Infinite was just kind of such a all-hands-on-deck mess that they didn't... It's just the way things played out. It sucks. So because of that, whatever, was whatever probably might have happened, if things went differently, is not happening. And so we have not had proper mainline Halo games in development since the release of Halo Infinite. Proper development probably started a year ago. Maybe a little bit more than a year ago. Regardless, not enough time to actually properly show anything. Halo Studios or 343 Industries? Which sounds better? Halo Studios, for sure. Halo Studios makes more sense, I think, for branding purposes. Because, imagine a production okay, this is please, the quality, I'm not talking about the quality of it. Imagine the Halo TV show if it said in collaboration with Halo Studios rather than in collaboration with 343 Industries. Halo Studios has Halo in the name. 343 Industries is just numbers. Imagine going into a Target and seeing a Master Chief figure. Instead of the 343 Industries logo, you see Halo Studios on the packaging. You buy the latest Halo game, think Halo Wars 2, in collaboration with X and so and Halo Studios. For branding purposes, it is better to have that name. I'm so confused about what your streaming plans are. Don't worry, Isaiah. So am I. I'm mostly going to be moving over to Twitch, but this was an emergency stream because I need footage and the population for Halo 5 is not big enough. What I need is footage of the Halo Combat Evolved Magnum. And I do not have that rack, because I blew it. I had it for like a hot second, and then I got killed. And then I spawned in my last one and got instantly killed, so now I'm out. So if we need to, what might end up happening is I might just start a custom game. Personally would have gone with something relating to Halo rings, like Installation Game Studios. Well, see, that just sounds like you're a software company, like Installation Game Studios. Like, that's even worse than 343 Industries. I mean, maybe not worse, because 343 Industries sounds like a steel company or something, you know? But Halo Studios, it's just like, you know, it's like Sonic Team. It's like, wow, I wonder, Master Emerald Productions. It's like, no, it's Sonic Team. They make Sonic games. Who makes Halo? Oh, Halo Studios, you know? Why not make a private match that has the Magnum on the map? Hey, there we go. Our first Combat Evolved pistol. Because I also, you know, I need Warzone footage. I will do a custom map, though, by the way. Because that is relevant. I think Microsoft got rid of all the OG Bungie members except for Sketch and a few others. 343 was technically a sub-team of Bungie. No, 343 was not. 343 Industries was a God, what's the correct term? They were formed by Microsoft to handle transmedia partnerships or something like that, as well as like being set up to take the reins of Halo from Bungie when they moved on at the end of their contract. And a lot of, not a lot, some key talent from Bungie was retained, such as, well, Frank O'Connor, we know. There's also, God, what's his name? One of Bungie's environmental artists. God, I can't for the life of me. Starts with a V, I think? I can't remember his name. I feel embarrassed. I usually know this stuff. It wasn't quite as much, I think, as people like to think. I think a lot of Halo fans, they huff some of the copium by saying, well, majority of 343 were ex-Bungie employees, and it was like 7 people crossed over from Bungie. It wasn't quite as much as people like to think. And also, you know, they didn't hire people who hated Halo. They didn't seek out people that wanted to destroy the IP. Hi, LNG, wishing you a great stream and a lovely time. Thank you. Thank you. What we're going to be doing in this stream is getting some games into the theater mode so that I can capture some good footage. And I know Halo 5's theater mode is broken, but thankfully I know how to work within the bugs and glitches and issues that it has. I feel like with the Evolution series, I've gotten good enough at kind of like wrangling the beast. But we're probably going to have to get some matches started soon. Seven mentioned. Since when did rec packs give you like 3,000 points? It does that if you've gotten everything, I think. Like, I've maxed out the rec system. There's nothing left for me to earn from it. So it just spits back free rec points. What's y'all's hottest Halo take? Oh boy. I think Spartan Ops was... I think... Spartan Ops felt better as the tone and kind of vibe that Halo 4 should have had. The main campaign, that is. The focus on side characters, the focus on extra characters, and you kind of taking a backseat to their story. That's kind of what the original Bungie trilogy was. Like, Master Chief and the player were more along for the ride, as other characters kind of drove the main story forward. And I think that Spartan Ops should have been kind of like the main focus of Halo 4. Like Glassman, Palmer, Lasky, all these characters intermingling, working with Dr. Halsey, Julim Dama as an antagonist, uncovering the mysteries of this new Forerunner world. And then you could throw in Master Chief in there, like, as, like, the player's vehicle. But that's at least how I feel, you know? Yeah, something tells me that Microsoft did not like Bungie from the start and found them stubborn. Well, to be fair, yeah, kind of, yeah. Bungie was very, like, rebellious and very, I mean, in some ways, I guess I empathize with it. Like, poor time management, a lot of ambition, but not a lot of focus. And usually it led to very chaotic and messy development cycles where it seemed like everything was on fire. And they were very unpredictable and very hard to work with. And very stubborn, and very prideful. Like, Microsoft probably thought that the thing keeping Halo from being even bigger was honestly Bungie. And kind of their inability to work with others and their inability to kind of, like, make a plan and stick with it. And so, they're probably like, oh, thank God, finally, like the mess is gone. Like, now we can start properly growing Halo. And what they accidentally ended up making was kind of like a mini Bungie, where there was that same level of dysfunction, but Bungie were so used to working together, and it was like the correct amount of dysfunctional talent to where they could save their productions. And really, like, their minds were in the right place. The people that were in the positions of leadership, they were important to those, and they knew how to get stuff done, and they kind of, like, had a good eye for what makes a good game. Whereas with 343, unfortunately, they didn't have the correct people in the correct positions of leadership. So usually the productions did not come together as smoothly. Is there still an active player base for Halo 5? A very small one. Some playlists, you just can't find anything, but There is a key difference between Bungie and 343. Bungie was able to say no. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Bungie was able to... You know, it's interesting, because a lot of things that 343 Industries has explored and done, like even a lot of the equipment in Halo Infinite, it is stuff Bungie had even considered for Halo 3 and, like, their other games. Like, a lot of ideas 343 actually pulled from Bungie. Planned things, or even things they considered. But the difference, I think, is that Bungie... The reason they didn't pursue those things is because they realized early on they were not good ideas. Like, weirdly enough, I think actually the grappling hook was a Bungie idea, a very old Bungie idea, and Bungie did not use it because, you know, say bye-bye to level design in the campaign if you do something like that. Okay. I'm not even sure what match we joined. This is... Oh boy.
30 seconds left.
Wonder how Sony treats Bungie compared to Microsoft. Probably like the same. Because Sony Sony is kind of known for being relatively hands-off with their developers. And granted, Microsoft, I've heard, is the same way, which is actually sometimes a fault for Microsoft, is they're extraordinarily hands-off to the point that a lot of problems arise. But Bungie never wanted to go forward with Halo and be known as the Halo developers. Yeah, that's a big thing about Bungie is Halo was never like a franchise to Bungie. It was a Halo game, or it was never Halo was never a franchise to Bungie. It was a Bungie game to them, one of many, you know, and they were eager to make the next Bungie game. They didn't want to just be making Halo. They wanted to keep making Bungie video games. Which is ironic, because then they left Microsoft and went on to become the Destiny developers. For a decade. Not releasing anything but Destiny. A critique I've always offered 343 in Halo is it feels like at Halo Studios is it's always a self-inflicted victim of scope creep. It always wants to do everything and then add everything else on top of that everything. That's a good way to look at it. Like, some of their ideas, you know, that thinking like back to Halo 4 and stuff, like Spartan Ops, the worst part about Spartan Ops is how undercooked all of it is. Like, you can see that there's a really ambitious idea here, but none of it had the level of, none of it had the attention to detail that an idea like that deserved. You know, the combat was unpolished, AI felt brain dead in the missions, and none of them were fun to play, and it was probably that way because it was too ambitious of an idea. It was too big for the team that was making Spartan Ops to handle. And so lots of corners had to be cut. Too many corners, to the point that the mode, you know, it has these super expensive CGI cutscenes, and then you hop into like a multiplayer map where the Covenant are like struggling to pathfind around rocks, and they look super out of place, and there's, you know, gates that are placed in weird areas that have no lighting on them. And it just feels super kind of like undercooked.
Home base secure. Lockdown disabled. New objectives are online.
And then even Warzone, you can see some of those issues where the bases, like the whole premise of Warzone is such an interesting idea But then it's like large play space and the same bases, no matter what map you're on. They all have the same aesthetic. You know, they couldn't do like bases fitting the aesthetic of each map because that's a little bit too much out of the scope. They couldn't do ODST drop pods because it was outside of their what they were capable of. So yeah, a lot of it is kind of like they bite off more than they can chew quite a lot. And I think Halo Infinite was probably like the... Finally, they tried to bite off a piece of something so large that it kind of like collapsed the studio somewhat in the idea of let's make an open world game in less than 3 years. What could go wrong? And also have a massive multiplayer module alongside it. We can handle that workload, right? We want the Academy, AIs, loot caves, open world, etc., and they did that without getting the basics down. Yeah, it was way too much. And I'd imagine the new leadership is probably Pierre Heinz. It's going to be interesting to see the way that he runs Halo Studios and kind of like all the new leadership. Because Pierre Heinz, he comes from EA, and he comes from like live service development at EA. Super, super into streamlining things, in delivering, in keeping costs down, money coming in high. And that's not bad, by the way. Like, you know, you're not in the business to lose money, you're in the business to make money. But it's going to be interesting to see the way, like, you know, he kind of wrangles a team of developers together and what projects he thinks are important for the brand's growth. What are y'all's thoughts on $40 Destiny 2 expansion that is just Star Wars? So that, man, that makes no sense. Destiny 2 is doing they're collaborating with Lucasfilm to do an expansion that has lightsabers, Han Solo's... I'm serious. It's got Han Solo's blaster, lightsabers, a desert planet that looks like Tatooine, but here's the thing. It's not actually a lightsaber. It's not actually Han Solo's blaster. It's using the sound effects, and it looks pretty damn close to it. You know, and it's using Star Wars-y music, and the trailer even had in collaboration with Lucasfilm. So it's a Star Wars collaboration in the Destiny universe that is not actually Star Wars. So it's a canon story that uses aesthetic stuff from Star Wars, but not actually set in Star... Like, at that point, it's like, why do the collaboration? My wife just said they wouldn't do that if they didn't need money. Yeah, and... Yeah. It's the sign of desperation. Let's not forget that he saved MCC. Well, he didn't save MCC. The team he assembled saved the MCC. I remember back when they were talking about bringing the MCC to PC, and some of us content creators were there, and he proposed the idea to us of rotating out multiplayers and making Halo, the classic Bungie Halo games, a live service. And asking about microtransactions and all of that stuff. And it was like, that was my first impression of Pierre Heinz, was him talking about how to time gate classic Halo content and monetize it. I mean, thankfully none of that stuff came to fruition, but... Hey, it's early morning reader. It's been a good while, says Andrew. How you doing, buddy?
Level 4 Rex available.
Oh yeah, Mr. Raffle Waffles is now doing Destiny content. What the F? What the heck? What the H?
Heads up. High priority covenant in.
Mr. Raffle Waffles, he's been able to get out of the COD Zombies creator corner. I'm proud of him.
Made contact.
Was the Destiny franchise even worth the hype to begin with? I'd say Destiny 1 was. Destiny 1 was. And there was a brief window where Forsaken absolutely brought Destiny 2 back. Unfortunately, after that, Destiny went back downhill. And I think we all were gaslighting ourselves into thinking that it was so back. But, like, I can't for the life of me think of anything that was bigger than, like, the Taken King. And it seems that the numbers actually reflected that.
Throwing a grenade. There, hurt something.
Talking about Destiny is depressing because I was in 4th grade when that game released. Yeah, Destiny's like 11 years old now. Destiny is now a cash grab MMO. I mean, it's been like that for a little while now. I just think like Destiny is one of those. It's one of those things where I feel like what Destiny is supposed to be. What Destiny is supposed to be existed only after a rough launch. And then a revival expansion made with the help of Activision in Forsaken and the Taken King. Those two expansions, those like Twilight eras, were Destiny at its best. What about the last expansion of Destiny 1? That I heard was pretty good. Was it as big as Taken King, though? Like, culturally, I mean. Destiny 2's biggest problem, in my blunt opinion, is that it basically removed the idea of a journey and replaced it with a grind. In D1, there was a grind, but that was part of the journey. I'm not even sure if I'd say grind. It feels sort of like... Because Destiny 1 was definitely a grind. And there's some truth to what you said about it being a journey. But Destiny 2... It's very unfocused. You know, like the thing that made me drop off really hard from Destiny 2 is exhaustion from the seasonal artifact system, and every couple of months stuff is just completely different, and it's like, okay, now you have to play this mode that's going to be gone in a couple of months, and that's what you play to grind for stuff now. Like, I feel like Destiny, it should have been Crucible Strikes, and then, I don't know, I guess frickin' Gambit or Patrol, like, you know, some third element to get gear. Like, that should have been the core areas of the franchise's strengths, but they just kind of, like, neglected those. You know, Crucible was left to rot on the vine. Strikes were left to rot on the vine, and it just became a game about what's the limited time mode that isn't fun and is undercooked and has a bad story attached to it that I have to play to get my guns. There was a Taken King, but what of a Taken Queen? They did sort of do the Taken Queen. That's Savathun. But I found her to be extremely underwhelming.
Wreck confirmed.
Like, the build-up to her was super exciting, but then her expansion, the Witch Queen, was, like, super, super, super underwhelming. It was like the direct-to-DVD sequel of The Taken King, in terms of, like, scale, production value, and all that stuff. I once tried to make a video that was everything you missed before Lightfall. The video was 5 hours and was outdated by the time I finished. Yeah. I don't know, Destiny was just, it was fun when it was like, it was fun when it was, you had a massive, high-budget expansion that was very light on story, light on characters, and then a lot of the actual depth came from the new location, the new stuff thrown into the Crucible and the strikes and, you know, whatever the new raid was, and then of course sifting through the grimoire and lore stuff and, you know, to discover like the deeper aspects of the story. Then Lightfall was Lightfall. Yeah, Lightfall was... Man. Man, what happened with Lightfall? In my opinion, Destiny 2 still had mystery and Beyond Light. Why was the darkness helping us, but also the bad guys we didn't know? The Witch Queen killed that mystery. Yeah, with Beyond Light, there was still a bit of mystery. Like, don't get me wrong, like the villain, I can't remember her name in Beyond Light. She was like a nothing. Like, kind of boring. The melodrama with the Fallen was very boring. But yeah, and even like the way that you get your powers, I remember thinking, whoa, like where'd the budget go? But Beyond Light, there definitely was still a bit of that, like, the darkness is so creepy and eerie, like, this is so weird. And then with Witch Queen, they killed all of it. They're like, well, it was never the darkness to begin with. It was a guy and 7 to 8 empty pyramid ships.
Incoming Covenant.
That's what... There never was a darkness. The darkness is actually a neutral force.
Eyes up. Banshee scout in disguise.
Shields are back.
Hi, LNGs. Good to see you, buddy. Excited for the Evolution videos. Yeah, I'm excited too. And after this Evolution of the Magnum is up, going forward, the Evolution videos are not going to take so long to make. I also will not be telling you what the next Evolution video will be on, but I think you guys are going to be excited. Thoughts on Doom: The Dark Ages? I got a free code from Bethesda, which is, I'm honored. I'm honored that I matter. to not to sound like a Debbie Downer, but that was very shocking to see in my email. So I'll probably make a video on it, because I am looking forward to it. I remember Doom 2016 was a game that, like, I was already looking forward to Doom 2016 when it came out, but I was flabbergasted at how good it was. And then Doom 2016 is a game that initially I gaslit myself into thinking wasn't as good as 2016, but have recently been able to accept from the bottom of my heart that, yeah, I think Eternal might be peak.
Wreck confirmed.
And I have been like almost like a master on the top of a hill, meditating and fasting and training my mind to understand that Doom the Dark Ages is not going to be as good as Eternal. I might even not like it as much as Doom 2016. But I know that I'm still going to enjoy my time with it. And I know that when I have the Doom brainworm and I want to play some Doom games, I'm going to be so thankful that id Software made 3 different Doom games that all play radically different from each other. Because it's going to make the act of replaying the Doom reboot very fun. Because I'm going to have a lot of variety. Oh, you're studying all the crazy Magnum variants in this game, aren't you? I am. Including studying the What is going on up here? Why are we up here? I didn't know you could do this. I've also been studying the pre-release Magnum, and I'm gonna have to cut it from the script, methinks. Because there is too much to... Like, okay, the way that I really like doing my scripts is I like the development of the game, the goals of the game, the build-up, the hype, and then, boom, the name drop of the Magnum. And then we go right into analyzing animations, the visuals. And the problem is there is so much about the Halo 5 beta version of the Magnum that I would have had to spoil it early. That, like, this is what it looks like. Here, now let's talk about the Halo 5 pre-release Magnum. Like, man. It's like, imagine if, like, that Spider-Man movie, the Spider-Man movie where they had Toby and Andrew Garfield in the same movie with Tom Holland. Imagine if the backstory of how they were able to get all 3 of those actors in the same movie was so goddamn interesting that the movie had to spoil itself before even beginning, because they were like, guys, you're not going to believe the hell we had to go through to get this movie made. Blah, blah, blah. Tobey Maguire's going to be in the movie and blah, blah. That's how I feel, because there's just a lot of interesting stuff about the pre-release Halo 5 Magnum. Oh my god, I just read an article that also said Doom Eternal was peak. He claimed Dark Ages felt like a console game first. That's okay. Like, that's what I'm expecting. When Hugo Martin said that they want, you know, in Doom Eternal, here's my Hugo Martin impression. In Doom Eternal, you were like a fighter jet. In Doom the Dark Ages, you stand and fight. Like, when he said that, and there was so much emphasis on them slowing it down, more on blocking, and they introduced a sprint button so that you could have more direct control over the speed of the Slayer. You know, that it's not just like hold the stick forward and Doom Slayer is moving so fast the controller player doesn't know what's going on. I was like, got it. Yeah, because Doom Eternal it's rough on controller. So this game is more conscious, I guess, of console players. But what I'm excited to see is the new combat loop that they developed with controllers in mind. Oh, my wife. Say I matter. My wife is being sweet and supportive. Serge, hey man, been watching you for ages. Love your stuff. Dude, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. That means a lot. And thank you also for the $2, dude. Cheers. What was your first video, if you don't mind me asking? Oh gosh, yeah, let me scroll up. You guys are too sweet. You guys are really nice. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I shouldn't say stuff like that. Bad guy. Incredibly accurate impression. Is this Halo 5 Forge or Halo 5 on Xbox? It's Halo 5 on Xbox. Am I the only one bothered by people calling it the Magnum in CE? It's the pistol. It's always been the pistol. It wasn't called the Magnum until Halo 2. Oh. Believe me. I'm, You're not going to hear me use the word Magnum until we get to the Halo 2 part of the video.
After I made all those blender things, I can't call it Magnum.
No?
Because I'm trying to, because if I use Magnum, then
It would go away. What was it called?
I would lose them in my pool of a million other Magnums.
Oh, really?
And I wouldn't be able to find.
You had to call it, like, different names? Pistol?
Sorry.
She, Rebecca's telling me that she hates the word Magnum. Yeah, Rebecca did a lot of the Blender animations for this upcoming video, which I'm very excited. Would you ever do a video on the Doom reboot art style? Maybe? It's more a matter of being spread too thin. I think I've talked about this in the past. If I had like my dream, because there's, 84 of us here? So, like, come on, guys, huddle together. Everyone else is asleep. I think my dream is to have, like, a team and take the Evolution series and almost make it like a Xbox Ahoy type thing. Do documentaries on different game franchises and stuff. The problem with doing like an analysis of Doom or an analysis of Elder Scrolls or an analysis of this is that it would spread me too thin, the workload. Halo 5's co-op characters having unique HUDs was awesome. It would have been cool if Blue Team's HUDs resembled those from the trilogy, like Buck's ODST HUD. Yeah, it would have been cool if Blue Team had more retro throwback Halo HUDs. Master Chief's sort of. Like, because Master Chief just uses the default Halo 5 HUD, right? And that's sort of throwbacky in color, layout, and stuff like that. Now you're talking, bro. Damn, LNG, bringing it back 10 years after the Halo. LNG Studios, that would be awesome. Because when I made the name Late Night Gaming, I didn't intend it to be like me, like, hello, my name is Late Night Gaming. It was supposed to be the name of the channel, and I, Taras, am a content creator on Late Night Gaming. So that would be freaking awesome if, like, Late Night Gaming was able to become a brand, and I was an employee of Late Night Gaming. And other people also did Late Night Gaming content. That would be, like, the dream. Late Night Studios. Late Night Gaming Studios. Bro is too close to not hit 152. No way. No. I don't like Halo 5's multiplayer enough to grind to 152. Plus, I think I have more important things to do in my free time. Yeah, you're already talking about the plot structure of this video in filmmaking terms, which is something me and the Buttery Anvil adopted for our essays recently. Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, the evolution videos, I don't really write them like a video essay and then there's just footage, you know? It is kind of storytelling to an extent. Like there's like beats that I want to hit, reveals, dramatic twists, you know, and stuff. And it requires like looking back at some of the old evolution videos is really hard because that pacing isn't there, and it does feel like a video essay with random gameplay thrown over top. And I'm learning how to work faster while also refining it and making it more entertaining to watch. But it also requires me to absorb more information than normal and also figure out what is important information and what's not. Oh no, LNG, what is your opinion on Bungie's Marathon reboot? Did you play the alpha build? I did not. I did not sign up for the alpha, nor was I interested. But then I saw gameplay of it, and I still have doubts. And then I saw some of the lore-related stuff, and I was like, okay, you know what? That's more interesting. Then I saw, like, the UI design and the out-of-gameplay elements of it, and I'm like, I see potential in this. And now I'm more interested to try Marathon. I'm not sold on the hero shooter stuff. I'm not entirely sold on the gunplay either, which is really weird because the gunplay is something people seem to really like. What I foresee as an issue with the gunplay is that it's like, for the reasons that Destiny's gunplay is really good for Destiny, Marathon inheriting the Destiny style of gunplay, of like recoil management and weapons and stuff, I don't think it serves an extraction shooter really well. Like, I think one of the key things that a lot of developers that have tried their hands at extraction shooters, what they miss a lot about why Tarkov is so addicting for Tarkov players is that guns are very unwieldy, really difficult to master. And if you have like, you know, like, yeah, bro, I play a lot of Call of Duty, I can hop on Tarkov. Like, you're not going to be able to control the recoil. You're not going to be able, what button lets you check how much ammo is still in the magazine, like that kind of stuff. Because it makes the act of mastering the weapon feel really addictive because it's so hard. And then I look at the Marathon gameplay and it's like, oh, it's Destiny. Like, the weapons are all laser beams. They have very little recoil. They have big, satisfying hit markers. Poppy reload anime. Like, it's Destiny. So the weapons are going to be piss easy to use. So the way that they balance them then and make them difficult is with a gray, green, blue, gold, purple, like, rarity system. So it's like, so the gun just arbitrarily is not as good. And I don't think that that's the right approach for an extraction shooter. I think the act of playing the game itself needs to be very difficult. It can't just be, you know, too easy. And the heat system looks like they understand that to an extent, you know? They don't want it to be just like Apex Legends, you know, where you can fly around the map at Mach 6, you have crazy movement tech. Like, they understand that it needs to be a little bit difficult. You need to be a little bit more measured. It's a pity, though, that they didn't do that for the gunplay. Tarkov has too many goddamn buttons. It does. It does have too many goddamn buttons. It does. And I don't think that you need to, you know, this isn't me advocating for Marathon to basically add 7 different combat stances with buttons that accommodate each of them. That's not what I'm advocating for. But I do think that the Destiny's recoil mechanisms and ways that weapons handle, I think it is too easy to make for compelling combat in an extraction shooter. And so they have to come up with other means of making the weapons challenging, and what they settled on was this rarity system. And I saw that based on player feedback, the gray weapons were just way too weak against everything. So they just started making blue weapon tiers drop everywhere. I'm like, so the rare weapon tier is now common? Like, the weapon rarity system, it's just arbitrary. Like, an extraction shooter isn't an RPG. It's a fight for survival. So this RPG loot system with green, blue, purple, gold, like, get rid of it. It's a holdover, not a holdover, it's habits that I think a lot of modern game developers have just formed and think apply universally. And in the case of Marathon, I think they're going to be fighting an uphill battle if they keep clinging to a lot of those things that they, this is me as an expert game developer, that they assume will just translate perfectly, or that need to be jammed in there. And they're going to keep tweaking it and rebalancing it till the end of time. When I think what they should actually do is just throw it away and go with what makes more sense. What Infinite-style nicknames, Sidekick, Bulldog, Hydra, etc. would you give to older UNSC weapons? In my opinion, the M90 shotgun would fit the name Mastiff. I'd probably give the M90 shotgun, like the classic, I just call it combat shotgun, I guess. I don't know, I guess I'd never really thought about it. If anything, I've actually thought the inverse. I've thought about weapons like the Bulldog and Hydra. What would they be called if it was like a Bungie Halo game? Because typically Bungie did not give guns like fantasy names or like animal names, you know? That was the thing that was usually reserved for the vehicles. And the vehicles were usually very divided. Covenant got supernatural or fantasy names, while the UNSC got like real-life animal names. So things like the Hydra, that's a very weird name for a UNSC gun, at least in my mind. Like it sticks out. That sounds more like a Covenant vehicle to me than it does a UNSC gun. And the Bulldog, when you say Bulldog, immediately what I think of is like a motorcycle type UNSC vehicle, or perhaps like some kind of troop transport hog or something like that. In fact, I actually think during development, the Bulldog's name was the combat shotgun. That's what it was called, and then at some point they gave it the name Bulldog. LNG, where do you personally see Doom going after the Dark Ages? The devs expressed interest in making more Doom games somehow, so Quake seems kind of out of the question. I think a water type gun for a water gun, like the Hydra. Oh, you like the Hydra makes you think of a water gun? Like a water squirter? Oh, like Hydro?
Yeah, that's what I've always thought. I'm like, water.
Tasty fish gun.
Fish type
Fish type
gun. And then
gun.
I've always imagined it like being blue.
Oh, like a super soaker.
And since it has like in caps the Hydra word on it, I'm like, that's like a super soaker.
Yeah.
That's a super soaker.
The Halo 5 Hydra kind of does look like a super soaker. I'm going to annoy you with this again. I recommend playing Halo Infinite with a lower brightness setting, like -22, for example. Game looks sexy.
Whoa. If you did that to me...
Rebecca's going, like, with her glasses, because she wouldn't be able to see.
Tell him I will freaking blind you at night with my brightness all the way up. And I do not do dark mode, I do light mode for everything.
Rebecca, she has her phone always at max brightness because she has trouble seeing screens.
Screen burned phone.
She screen burned phones because she keeps them so bright. HDR is kind of broken on PC and Series X for me. It's Tommy Mate says, yeah, HDR is. I don't think they ever fixed HDR for Halo Infinite. You can get it to look okay, but it never looks optimal. But yeah, generally Halo Infinite, it's the color grading on it is really weird, and the brightness balancing is kind of awkward. So it seems like -22 for you is like the right contrast. I'll have to give it a try, like setting HDR off, set the brightness to -22. What I usually play at is like -12. And then the HDR is either set to max or sometimes it's set to like 60. But where would Doom go? To be honest, I don't know. They could take Doom anywhere, because what I really like about Hugo Martin, and it's something that pisses off the core Doom fans, or the lore fans, I should say, but I actually think it's a strength of the way that he's managing Doom, is he uses it less as like, he uses it less as a ongoing story where lore and like consistency matters, and he uses it more as like an excuse to explore different aspects of geek and nerddom and stuff he grew up with and the other guys at id. Like Doom 2016 obviously has like a lot of like grindhouse elements to it, a lot of Doom 3 elements to it, as well as like, you know, classic Doom. But then Doom Eternal is sort of like a big like love letter to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, you know? And it took me a little while to get that, because at first I was just like, what? Doom 2016 had such a better tone and vibe, and then it took me a while to realize, like, it was on purpose. Like, they deliberately made Doom 2016 to feel this way, and then with Doom Eternal, they said, we are not going to do that. We're going to make a very different feeling game. By design. And Doom the Dark Ages, it's like Lord of the Rings in the Doom universe. So literally anything could be next. Whatever Hugo Martin watched for TV on Doom Eternal or Doom the Dark Ages release weekend, you know? Whatever he sees on TV that's like a retro throwback movie. Probably be like, yeah, I remember growing up with that. Okay, here's the plan for the next Doom game. It's set in a casino. You know, like, they could go in any direction. And it would probably be good for the Doom brand, because then that means a fourth Doom game that does not feel like the other three. That all feel very distinct and unique to each other. It's just like a very strong, diverse portfolio of Doom games. Covey vehicles were more nicknamed after haunting apparitions or insects. There's also non-animal UNSC guns you could use, like the Avenger or the Bandit. Well, the Avenger and the Bandit I also thought were kind of like odd names, you know? I guess, like, the UNSC stuff has always felt very grounded, very tactical. And usually weapons are given their combat designation. Where, you know, the Covenant stuff is usually supernatural, haunting beings, fantasy beings. Scarab, you could make the argument that that's the one that is insect-themed. I guess I thought for the longest time that it was called the Scarab, like, off of the more mythical type of scarab beetles, like the way they are in, like, fantasy and myth. But a scarab is technically a real beetle. Yeah. Oh yeah, the golden scarab beetle.
But it's like a piece of jewelry that's gold.
Yeah, like that, like in pop culture, like scarabs, I think people think of stuff like Aladdin or, The Mummy. Pirate's booty. If Wolfenstein were to return, where would it take place? USSR? I think if Wolfenstein were to return, they need to goddamn finish the story they were telling. The last Wolfenstein game ended with America rising up against the fascist occupation. And that was in 2017. So if Wolfenstein is to come back, it needs to tell me what happens next. Because I've been waiting. Next Doom game will be full-on horror? I don't think so. Because Doom 2016 was already, of the modern Doom games, the more horror-y one. That's specifically why Doom Eternal is less scary, and it's more, like, silly. You know, like, think of the Caca Demon. In Doom 2016, it looks like nightmare fuel. It's got the, like, pale, diseased eye, and then in Doom Eternal, the Caca Demon's got, like, a wacky cartoon green eye. And it's a lot more colorful. Oh, boy. Okay. Crawling in my crawl, says Travis Reed. I keep forgetting how bulky the Halo 4 and 5 sniper is because I own the Nornfang weapon model in Infinite and it's much smaller. Yeah, funny about that. Halo 4 pre-release had a completely different scope that had more detail to it. It actually looked great. I think it might have been the coolest sniper scope in the series, the pre-release Halo 4 sniper scope. It had like a little cord that was dangling off the side and fully animated and stuff. But then they swapped it out for the much simpler one, which I can only assume was maybe because of hardware limitations on the 360. But the Halo 4 sniper model, it was such a problem because like that box on the top of it, it took up 1/3 of the screen. When you picked up a sniper in Halo 4, you just couldn't see 1/3 of your screen because of how big the view model is. And you can see in Halo 5 that they actually shrunk the view model down a bit. Like, the field of view for the sniper view model is slightly different than all the other guns because they were aware of how big it is. And with Halo Infinite, they just used it as an opportunity to come up with a much smaller scope. What's your go-to Halo game when you feel like playing? At the moment, Infinite, because Mutilator Madness is really fun. Like, really fun. What's this guy doing? Yo, stop it. He's being toxic. At the moment, Infinite because of Mutilator Madness, but also because I'm trying to get that max rank. So I can get the Chief. But once that's done, I'll probably be hopping on the MCC, bouncing around between, you know, Combat Evolved, Halo 3, Halo Reach. Just playing the different Halo games, seeing what others are into. Dude, the scarabs from the Mummy gave my little sisters nightmares. They were convinced they really existed. That there were, like, supernatural beetles that consumed people in massive swarms. I mean, to be fair, to be fair, I feel like the Mummy and like mummies have done like an irreparable harm to the human race in how we perceive like pyramids and like tombs. Like they're not okay. Imagine if like your relative that you really love, imagine if we took their final resting place and like turned it into like a haunted mansion and the set for like a scary movie. It's just like it's their like ancient burial rite, ancient burial ritual, and customs, and we turned it into a scary monster that you can buy Halloween costumes of. Did you know there's a royalty-free song that sounds exactly like 117 from Halo 4? It's called First Shooter by Bonnie Grace. I'm going to write that down. Thank you. Because when I'm doing the Halo 4 part of the Evolution video, there's not a lot of options for music. I really struggled with editing the Halo 4 section. I had to use a lot of Halo 5 stuff, as well as Spartan Assault stuff. By Bonnie Grace. I'll check it out later. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. And thank you so much for the donation. What I'm currently trying to figure out is if I can bring back the SpongeBob intro music for the Evolution series. Because, it's just iconic to the Evolution series. Me for You. You know? Scarab, Weevil, Mantis, Locust, Antlion. There's quite a few. Both factions dip into fantasy nicknames. Cyclops, Hydra. Okay, Cyclops I'll give you. Cyclops I'll give you. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I'll give you that. Fun fact, mummies were turned into paint during the Victorian era? What? Is that true? Ah, the Kraken. I personally loved taking that thing down. Did you take it down, though? Because it was scripted. It was a building that moved into place, and then you destroyed an objective, and then the building was scripted to fall into a pit. Like the Kraken for me, I guess, like, you know, there is a bit of bias here, but the pre-release stuff for Halo 5, I was so excited because Halo 4 killed me that there was no Scarab fight in it. And I was like, oh my god, Halo 5's doing this thing called the Kraken. It's going to be even bigger. And it wasn't. It wasn't a Scarab fight. It was scripted. It wasn't an AI entity. I felt robbed. And then I felt especially robbed when it didn't blow up in cinematic fashion. It just, like, fell into a pit. Like, they built it up, too. Because when you blow up the core, the alarms are sounding, the Scarab lights start flashing and then turning off, and it's like, evacuate! It's gonna self-destruct! And then it just, like, falls. And I'm like, where's the boom? And then the boom never came. My unfortunate go-to Halo game is Infinite's campaign. It's the latest Halo campaign that I and many enjoy, unlike Halo 5. Also, check out what I said about 343's designs in the chat, says it's Tommy Mate. Don't say unfortunate, Tommy. By the way, thank you for the donation, dude. But don't say unfortunate. If you like it, then like it. Be proud that you like it. Bit of an odd take, but 343's original designs are kind of nice in my opinion, like the Didact and Locke's armor, but the Bungie redesigns are not so great. 343 designs could work with the classic art style. Oh man, I guess it depends on which designs, because I don't know if, like, almost everything, I think, from the 343 games, I don't think would work well. Just because it's a fundamentally different aesthetic goal. Bungie always took a lot of they always like operated with bold, exaggerated silhouettes, heroic silhouettes, a focus more on like panels, plates, armor that create a heroic figure to define something. You know, they operated in like the broad sense of things. Where with 343 Industries, they went for cinematic realism, which is very optimized for like 4K resolution, big screens. It's the same kind of style that Michael Bay went with the like, look at that Promethean Knight right there. It's all about the detail, because the resolution is high enough that you want a lot of detail. It's less about the silhouette of the thing and more about the details of the thing. And that also extends to like weaponry, vehicles, and stuff. And because of that, I don't think a lot of it translates well into the older Halo games. Like a lot of those Halo Online armors in Halo 3, they look super out of place because the aesthetic doesn't match. You know, and it's the same reason that a lot of those, like, porting Halo 3 assets into Halo 4, why they don't quite look right. It's because it's a completely different aesthetic design.
Enemy controls all bases. Our core is vulnerable. Enemies eliminated a spec ops.
Is there any hope for Halo after 343 ruined the franchise 3 times, no less? Well, the fact 3 times and Halo still isn't out probably says yes, you know? Like, God, if they tried 3 times and people are still playing Halo, then I guess they didn't kill it. I think that's kind of like the strength of Halo, is that Halo survived a lot and people still like it. Which means, of course, there'll be a comeback. The Bayformers are so ugly. I appreciate them. I like the Generation 1 designs better. Like, I like the look of Optimus Prime as a big blocky truck, you know? But from, like, an aesthetic standpoint and an animation standpoint, I really fucking appreciate the Cybertronian art style in those Bay movies. Because a lot of thought went into them. And also, I think, you know, like, think of, like, Transformers Rise of the Beasts. The goal was not to go for cinematic realism. The goal was to try to translate those G1 designs into live action. But the goal for the Bay movie is they wanted to take those classic characters and make an art style that makes them look like they actually are existing in the real world as real, plausible, like, creatures. I just think it's cool. Artistically, I think it's cool. Even though I prefer Generation 1, and I prefer the Rise of the Beast look. Well, I prefer the Bumblebee designs, I think, the most. Our base is cooked, man. There's no way out of this, so. I could still play Halo on, like, Battleborn or Unreal. Yeah, see, Andrew's got it.
Core destruction imminent. Level 3 Rex available.
I think people are too melodramatic about the state that the franchise is in. Because, listen, all it's going to take is a couple years of silence. And then they'll have people begging to see a goddamn Master Chief helmet on the box of a new Halo game, you know? They failed with Wheeljack's design in Rise of the Beast. No, they didn't. Wheeljack looks great in Rise of the Beast. I think Wheeljack is probably one of the better looking, designs, actually. Like, my introduction to Transformers properly was the first Michael Bay movie. So I was introduced to, like, a walking garbage pile, you know? And then I went and watched Generation 1 and freaking loved it. And then after Bayformers, Generation 1, then Beast Wars, I bounced over to, like, Armada and, like, the Unicron. So I've seen so many different takes on characters. Like, there's, like, in one of the Unicron trilogy, I think it's not Armada, I think it was Transformers Energon. There's I think he's a Decepticon named Grimlock. He's a Decepticon named Grimlock who turns into, like, one of those, like, digger things, I think. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's the Unicron trilogy's Grimlock. So when seeing Rise of the Beast and everyone was, like, losing their frickin' minds about this new Wheeljack design, it's like, gosh, you guys are lucky you haven't seen all the other designs that Wheeljack has gone through over the years.
Initiating Warzone simulation. Hold bases, take down bosses, and eliminate enemy Spartans to earn points. Cubbies are assaulting our core. Eliminate them to secure our home base.
Let me see.
Let's support
There's a
Marines.
lot of really good comments being said. I'm not sure what to actually comment on right now. Late night, what vehicles would you bring from Halo Wars into the mainline Halo games?
Home base secure. Lockdown disabled.
Well, okay.
Objectives are
This
online.
is going to be kind of like a
Level 9 Rex available.
it's going to be a funny, but it's also a bit of a slight. How about the Banished Scarab?
Rec confirmed.
But trying to think, I would have loved to see the Banished Spirit, because I don't like the look of the Banished Phantom. When it was introduced in Halo Wars 2, like, Jeremy Cook as art director, he ironically cooks, but the one design that I don't think he cooked with was the Banished Phantom. I think it looks like a Mega Bloks thing. And the Spirit looks great, and I wish that I saw the Banished Spirit in first person. Is this Earth City from Planet Reach? Pablo was miles better than whatever Q was. Q was a little bit odd. I'll give you that. What I didn't like about Q was I didn't like that he looked like like robot Albert Einstein, like super robot Albert Einstein. Pablo also is his like seat belts turn into suspender straps, you know? Like he's got glasses, like glasses, you know? Like that's a little bit too human for an alien robot. But I think Pablo just barely managed to make it work. But yeah, Q, I never liked that he just straight up looked like Albert Einstein and had robot hair. I was like, Transformers should not have hair. Unless they turn into a beast. One of the big reasons why I liked Halo Infinite is it's the closest thing to a Bungie-like Halo game. I love CE2 and especially 3. 4 had a good story, but not the gameplay, and 5 was just terrible. That's the reason that I really like Halo Infinite, is it kind of feels like 343's closest effort at making a Bungie-style Halo game. I like the Lich. I like the Lich, but I think that it needs some new textures, as well as a new underbelly. Rejected Shotgun made a really good edit of the Lich. That kind of, it swaps out the textures for it, and he created a shader for it that is closer to the kind of Covenant material shader that you see in, like, Halo 3 and Halo Reach, and I think that's, like, the thing that, you know, fits it in. It's the missing element. Because the Lich was so damn close, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was that wasn't vibing with me.
Soldiers slip spacing in with a stolen warthog.
Hearing Transformers, now I want to see an Autobot with dreadlocks. Well, there's Decepticons with dreadlocks, and those guys also didn't like that the robot has robot hair. A Bungie-like modern Halo game, I meant. Oh, okay, I see. I get what you mean.
Captured the south garage.
I think Bungie would have done it differently, to be honest. Well, I mean, of course they would have. They're a different studio entirely. Here, we're gonna try using this, okay? Okay, I'm not gonna play very well, okay? Because I'm doing this on purpose for cinematic reasons. Because I need this in... And I lost it. Okay. You know what? That's fine. The running is great. I did need running. Especially with the Banshees overhead, I know what I'm going to do with that shot. What I was hoping was that I'd live long enough to get into a slide. Here, let's see if we can actually find it. No, it's gone forever. It's wild how many characters died in Dark of the Moon. Thoughts on the recent canceled Transformers game? I'm just annoyed that they, like, announced it, I guess. Because I'm like, if you're just going to take it from me, then don't announce it. Yeah, you're talking about Transformers Reactivate, right? Granted, like, Reactivate kind of had, like, alarm bells ringing. Because they apparently... They weren't far enough into development to have anything to actually show outside of a CGI trailer. They were switching engines, switching developers, and it's like, you know, live service, PvE, horde shooter thing, Transformers themed. I'm like, oh, this game's cooked, dude. This game's cooked, because I'm sorry, like, there aren't enough Transformers fans in the world and general audiences that would be like, you're not going to capture the Fortnite crowd, you know? Or the Warframe crowd. Like, a Transformers game has to be for Transformers fans, unfortunately. And there just aren't enough of them to sustain a live service game. Like, Transformers is one of those properties where you gotta do linear single-player stuff with a tacked-on multiplayer mode on the side or mobile stuff. You can't do the, like, this is gonna capture so many different audiences. Hot take, but loadouts worked well in Big Team Battle, Warzone Customs. It's really annoying that, like, loadouts were just completely gutted out of the game entirely. With, like, they're just gone. Completely. Because the loadouts, I remember making so many Halo Reach and Halo 4 custom games that are impossible to recreate in Halo 5 and Halo Infinite. Just because, you know, loadouts are gone. I'm gonna die, yeah. Turn the swag on, LNG. Unfortunately, the swag is very off. Not getting good gameplay, but at least I got a bunch of matches.
Red confirmed.
Got a hit.
Don't hate on Devastation. People better not be hating on Devastation. Devastation is exactly the kind of Transformers game that should be made. Not like, you know, talking about like, hey guys, remember G1? Like, not necessarily in that vein, more in like the, like,
Incoming from EP.
it was great.
The highway.
It had a goal for single player. It costed cash. And then you bought the game and you could play it. And there was no server to connect to. And it was a fun single player experience that you could then beat. It was great. Devastation was awesome. The DS Decepticon game was also fantastic.
Red confirmed.
Halo 5 was the only okay multiplayer game 343 made. I wouldn't say that. Halo Infinite's great. Dude, Mutilator Madness is some of the most fun I've had in Halo in a very, very long time. Like competitive Halo, that is. Or like the arena stuff. Like, a very long time. God, probably since Breakout. DS mentioned, I am summoned. So, baby, they, for the first Transformers movie, they copied Pokemon hard. And there were two versions of Transformers. There was Transformers Autobots and Transformers Decepticons. And that's how they tricked families into buying two copies of the Transformers DS game. And I had both copies. And you got to make your own Autobot or Decepticon. And in the Decepticon campaign, you colluded with Starscream to overthrow Megatron. And the Decepticon campaign ended with Starscream's plan failing and Megatron just killing him for insubordination. Even after the strafe acceleration nerf, Infinite is a very jittery game to play against other people. Oh yeah, it's well, the strafe acceleration nerf didn't revert it to how it used to be. It just slowed it down a little bit, but it is still like Infinite is still more responsive in its strafing than like this game, you know, and classic Halo games. And I think some of that is honestly unfixable because Infinite was balanced with that kind of strafe in mind. Like, that's just how the game was cooked, basically. So the best they can do is lower strafe speed a little bit, but they'll never be able to revert it back to how it used to be without having to reconsider and rebalance everything. You know, from the aim acceleration to bullet magnetism, aim assist, then the balancing of all the different weapons, sight lines, the width of hallways and stuff. Like, everything would have to be redeveloped.
Enemies destroyed a Mantis target. Enemy nearing victory.
So I do think that the nerf to strafe speed and strafe inertia helps Infinite. It's obviously not ideal, and Infinite will always feel very jittery, very jerky, but it's the best they could do, and it is much better than it was before, and it now means that Halo Infinite, I do think, is a more fun game to play. I still don't quite like the 4v4 stuff, but I also haven't really liked a Halo 4v4 game since Reach.
Enemies destroyed
So
a
nothing
Mantis
is really
target.
new on that front.
Hit one.
That's a loss, Spartans. Weapons down.
Oh, hell yeah, could be at E. It could be at E. That would actually be fun to see if they had it. And it's very cute, babe, because it was based off the first Michael Bay Transformers movie. So they had to take those insanely overly detailed, like, walking junkyards and turn it into, like, 3 polygons. And they gave Megatron, like, a frowny face as his texture. I only played the Revenge of the Sith DS games. Decepticons has you Merc Prime and then gain the Fallen's favor over Megatron, which Starscream gloats over. Can't change alt modes. That, I remember that, like, that's, I was so excited for the sequel DS game, and I returned it very fast because of how different it was. God, Starscream's voice was so deep in that game. Oh, in the Revenge. I remember it. Yeah. In the, you know how, like, Starscream, you know, is usually like, Megatron! Like, ah! You can't keep me in here, Megatron! Ah! Like, that's usually Starscream's voice. In the DS game for the sequel Bayformer movie, for some reason, the casting directors gave Starscream this super, super bassy voice. And I think it's because they saw the first Michael Bay Transformers movie where Starscream had that, like, you know, all the robots had that, like, super modulated voice. And Starscream has one line in the first Bayformer movie, and it's... No, he has 2 lines, sorry. He says, "I live to serve, Lord Megatron." And then Megatron says, "Where is the cube?" And he says, "The humans have taken it." And his voice is, like, very synthesized. And I think that the audio directors heard that voice and they mistook the filter as a deep voice, when it's actually a very high-pitched voice that just has a lot of layers to it. So in this, like, DS game for the sequel movie, he's just like, Megatron. Like, he's, like, so deep. It's like, what the fuck? Starscream pounded protein drinks. Why is his voice so deep? He's a SpongeBob. Oh yeah, in Transformers Animated, the voice of Starscream is the voice of SpongeBob. It's Tom Kenny, and he freaking kills it as Starscream. His, like, shrieks of despair. Oh my god, and Bulkhead is played by Patrick. And you can hear it a lot. Like, Bulkhead, he accidentally does the Patrick voice. It's like, alright, Bulkhead, roll out. He's like, this isn't Bulkhead, this is Patrick. Bayformer's Starscream sounded high-pitched in the human language, but deeper in the Cybertronian language. Well, that's because the Cybertronian language is just like electronically distorted noises. It's almost hard to say that it's a deeper voice, because it's not even like a voice. It's just like noise. It's like sound waves.
North Garage captured.
Megatron? Did he say Megatron? Megatron is dead. Offline. I saw it myself. Yeah, God, Tom Kenny was so good as Starscream.
Confirmed.
God, and when we were watching Transformers animated, my wife and I, the scene that like brought Starscream together for her, that won her over, was him getting the Allspark shard that kept bringing him back to life, and him just like trying over and over and over again to kill Megatron and coming back and doing it again. And then he's like, after like the 12th time, he's like, I think I need a different approach. It was pretty strange. He basically had his deep voice from the first film, which contrasted considerably with Meg's shriller voice from Frank Welker. Yeah, because Megatron in the Transformers movies, he's voiced by, God, why am I blanking on the actor's name? Hugo Weaving. He's voiced by Hugo Weaving, instead of Frank Welker, which is kind of annoying. You know, because Frank Welker, his Megatron voice is very, like, shrill. And so it was really weird to have a game where Starscream had a deeper voice than Megatron. Not gonna lie, man, Halo 5 looking real good right now. Didn't know this game was still kicking. It's hard to find matches, but once you do, the matches get going. What I really wish, though, is that Halo 5 was on PC, because there's so many mods that I would want to do to it. Like, here, I'm going to show you something that drives me crazy. And it's an optimization choice they made. That it's, like, Halo 4 had this. And then they disabled it for Halo 5. So, look at the Magnum. Think about shadows, okay? Think about shadows on the gun. Think about my character's shadow. There's no shadow. And then look at this. No shadow on the gun, no matter the direction I face. It's just perfectly lit, no matter what direction I'm in. My Spartan doesn't cast a shadow. The gun itself doesn't cast a shadow. And it's an optimization choice that they made. That, weirdly enough, was in the Halo 5 beta. In the Halo 5 beta, your Spartan would cast his own shadow, and that shadow could then fall on the view model. The view model itself casted its own shadows and stuff. And they disabled it for the final game for optimization purposes to get to a locked 60 FPS. And it drives me crazy how flat the lighting is on all of the gun models as a result. Let me see. Now that we're several years out from Infinite's launch, do you think it really loses much by not having assassinations? Oh yeah. I think it lost a lot. And the reason that it didn't have assassinations was not because they wanted that. It was because of tech reasons. The animation rig that handled assassinations and stuff, basically, like, the whole, like, animation system, animation skeleton, they had to redo for the multiplayer Spartans. And as a result, it meant that the assassination system was not usable. If they wanted to bring back assassinations, they would have to redevelop the assassination system and then make animations for them. And there was not enough time and resources to get that done. They were thinking about bringing them back post-launch, but we know how things went. What's super interesting, though, is the animation skeleton that Master Chief uses in the Halo Infinite campaign, it technically runs on an older version, the way it was described to me. And if they were to bring back assassinations to Halo Infinite, it's theoretically possible. And they could kind of like reverse engineer it from the campaign Master Chief if they wanted to do it. But it would require resources, it would require money, research, QA, and all of that stuff, you know, stuff that management would not sign off on. So it's not going to happen. But it theoretically could happen. And all it would take is looking at the campaign chief to get it done. That's actually a fun fact. Oh, thank you. Megatron, played by Smith / Red Skull / Mitzi Delbra. Yeah, it is crazy. Like, I mean, it wasn't a bad casting choice by any means. Hugo Weaving killed it as Megatron, even if he hated Michael Bay and hated his movies. Yeah, removing assassinations was such a bad move. It was, like I said, it was not by design. I know that, what's his name, like, tried to imply that oh, it was a conscious choice. We deliberately patched out the fun because comp. Like, no, that was just him saving his ass. Like, they had to redevelop it for Halo Infinite, and there wasn't enough time. So it was just not a feature. Gosh, there was like an awful excuse that he gave. I forgot who it was. He said something like, well, technically 85% of pro players disable it. And it's like, no, they don't. No, they don't. Like, just be honest, man.
Wreck confirmed.
Tom Kenny also killed it as Penguin in Batman 2000. Was he Penguin? That's fun. The Blam engine really needs a rest. No, what the Blam engine needs is it needs proper QA, proper research and development, documentation, and like upkeep. Like, the Blam engine made games that we love. You know, the Blam engine is responsible for Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, ODST, Halo Reach. It was spun off and became the Destiny engine. Like, the Blam engine is fine. And it's capable of even more. The reason that Halo Infinite is buggy is not because of the Blam engine. It's because the Blam engine was not kept up well. It was allowed to kind of like rot and fester. You know, tech debt was allowed to pile up. Documentation was disorganized. Too many hacked together solutions for bugs were created that were then not documented. Like, the engine did nothing wrong. It was the way it was upkept. And I still think it is a mistake moving over to the Unreal Engine. Not that, like, the Unreal Engine is, like, a bad engine or anything. It's not. It's just, it's just, I like the Blam engine, and I wish that we could see more squeezed out of it. Are you ever going to interview Chris Butcher? Chris Butcher. It would be interesting, actually, to have him on Warthog Radio. By the way, new episode of Warthog Radio is out, edited by my beautiful wife. If you guys want to see what Leigh Berlarden and I think about the new Halo season. I love the Halo and Destiny engine and Benadryl, says Pooping Bills. Yup, Kenny's Penguin sounds a bit like the Ice King. I hated that they lied about their reasonings. It's like, it's just this like awful thing in the game industry where it's like, don't show weakness. You know? Like, don't show weakness, only strength. And Halo was operating off of, you know, a place of weakness with Halo Infinite because of the reveal and then the launch of the game and stuff and how little content was there. Like, this is a fun fact. Do you remember when Sketch said that they couldn't add more playlists due to UI limitations? That was a moment of honesty that he got in a shit ton of trouble for. A lot of trouble for. Like, that's part of why Sketch basically vanished for a while. Was because he got in a lot of trouble for being that honest with the community. And he didn't, you know, go rogue. Like, he wasn't like, they deserve to know. It's engine limitations. He didn't think that that was sharing too much. You know, he just was honest with the community. Like, yeah, like, the UI is kind of a clusterfuck. We have a lot of limitations. We can't add more playlists at the moment. And he got in a shit ton of trouble for it because it's kind of like showing weakness, you know? Unreal Engine 5 games look the same, and most games are awfully flawed, stuttery nightmare games with blurry environments due to upscaling and awful AA. It doesn't have to be that way, though. Remember, the game only needs to look like that if that's what the developers opt to do. Like, the engine is just a set of tools. McDonald's brought back the chocolate chip frap. It's so good. Oh, don't tell my wife that. We love tasty treats from McDonald's. She, back when we were dating, I was such a, like, snack snob. I was, like, scared of anything that had a trace of sugar in it, a trace of fun. And through her, I've been like, you know what? Snacks are pretty freaking good, dude. Tasty little treats. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Does Gears of War still use Unreal Engine? Yep. Better than the lies the fans will catch on to. I agree. I think, saying the reason assassinations were removed is because players disable them. It's like, no. No, you're lying, you know? You're lying. Like, want me to pull up a montage reel of every assassination in Halo 5? Guess what? It has over 1 million views. People like assassination animations. Like, just be honest. Cookie! We'll probably have to get it. We'll have to do a taste test and then report back to you. Let's be real. If they're going to be using contractors, you already know stock visual effects will be used. I mean, stock visual effects have their purpose, you know? Not everything is going to be hand done. Think of like stuff like Speed Tree, you know? And that's perfectly okay. I mean, some of Halo's most iconic sound effects, like the shotgun firing sound, it's the stock sound effect for a SPAS 12. It was also used in Left 4 Dead 2. That's why the Left 4 Dead 2 SPAS 12 sounds like a Halo shotgun. Stock stuff is... That's the reason it exists, so that you can use it. That's not the problem with it. Do one of those eating videos. I'll be sitting in my car, running on empty. Food review. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're gonna do one match of custom games, and then I'm gonna hop off and spend time with my wife. Just, you know, something. What would be a good, aesthetically pleasing map? But what I also need I need a map that's like aesthetically fitting for Halo 1, you know? Let's check featured. There will probably be a couple remakes. Last Bastion, Cryptic, Abyss, Frontier, Goliath, Oracle, Eden ODST. And I'm going to make this custom game open so that you can all join if you would like. I'm trying to find Combat Evolved. I don't know. I guess I could do some of the stuff at Sorcerer. Okay, there we go. Oh, Sorcery, sorry. Prisoner, Halo CE. It works. Let's play in custom games. We're going to set the lobby to open. Open to all players. Game mode options. We are going to spawn with Magnums. Or sorry, pistols. What if they ended up using AI-generated stuff? Then I'd hate that. I'd hate that if there was AI-generated trash. Like, AI-generated stuff, use it as an assistant to assist artists. Don't use it just to replace it, because the AI-generated slop isn't going to get it, you know? Ask like ChatGPT to generate you a good Forerunner texture, and it won't know. It just will not know what to do. Okay, here we go. LNG, what's your favorite unhealthy item from food joints? Unfortunately, it's pizza. I become like a gross man pig. Like a disgusting slob when I'm presented with pizza. I'm quite ashamed of myself, truth be told. Cortana will be voiced by an actual AI now. Okay, I want to say something about the drama right now regarding, like, breaking LNG makes a statement. The community's, like, really scared about Steve Downs and Jen Taylor not being contacted. I don't think there's anything to worry about yet. Because, like, I remember with Halo Infinite, seeing it before they had Jen Taylor and Steve Downs voice lines in, and for the longest point in Halo Infinite's development, it was like Microsoft Sam. You know, like, no, we need to fight. You know, it was just like Microsoft Sam stuff. Because if you're still like developing the game and the story, you're still getting the dialogue down, you're still getting the tone down, you know, should we cut this? Should we keep that? Like, it doesn't make sense to record all this dialogue that you don't know if you're going to use or not, you know? Yeah, Chad G. Peter doesn't know what the Forerunner looks like. Which pizza? Papa John's? Brothers? Pizza Hut? Mid. Yeah, Pizza Hut's not good. I don't like any of the fast food pizzas. What's the one that's always in malls, actually? They made a joke about it in The Office. When he was like, this is my favorite little New York pizza joint. Like, come on, let me show you. And it was like a fast food pizza chain. Unfortunately, I really like that. I can't remember it. I just remember the look of the logo and the colors. Holy crap, it like... My mind went for a loop when I actually like scoped with the rocket launcher, because I'm so used to Halo Infinite. Oh boy. That's right. When you scope in with the Magnum in this game, your vision gets fucked with a little bit. Like if someone's scoping in on you, I completely forgot about that. I'm gonna have to mention that. Yeah, your vision. I'll have to add that. Sbarro. Yep, that's it. Pizza Hut gives me pizza butt. Dude, the video game Donkey video where he reviews every pizza from every state. That video is so good. Give me some of that Seattle slice.
10 seconds to rocket launcher. Rocket launchers on the field.
I hope that some of these things we're doing, these bops, these jukes, that they look good in the recording. Video game Donkey is sometimes funny, sometimes eh. Yeah. Yeah, I think the weakest Donkey videos, some of the weakest Donkey videos are the ones where he's playing a game and reacting to it. Like if the game is doing silly stuff and he's reacting to the silly stuff. That's usually the weakest aspects. With the ones where it's a serious game that he's taking the piss out of, those are usually funny. But they do get repetitive, because it's like, yeah, a person clips through the floor, and Donkey says something funny about that. But, like, I think, like, his Call of Duty videos, his annual Call of Duty videos are always so good. Like, when he's playing Modern Warfare, and he's killing people, and every time he kills somebody, he says, Black Ops. Like, that's so funny. It's not a joke, but it's so funny. I have no faith in purely AI-generated dialogue. It won't ever perfectly replicate human emotions or annotations. AI voiceover filters, however. AI voiceover filters, I think, could definitely do a job. I think generally I'd always prefer impressionists. Like, I think I would always prefer impressionists to, like, you know, kind of like what Disney did with James Earl Jones's voice for Darth Vader. Like, I don't like that much. And it's not because it sounds bad. It sounds freaking flawless. It's more that, like, I think there are some damn talented people out there that are now missing a job opportunity because of AI. Like, there's this guy that I found on YouTube who does a flawless impression of James Earl Jones. This isn't like Sergeant Johnson in Halo Wars 2, where it's like, yeah, it's a pretty good impression of David Scully, but you know it's not him. Like, it sounds exactly like James Earl Jones. Exactly like him. And this guy, he redid a lot of the scenes from the Obi-Wan show, but with his voiceover. And I think he even did a couple of Rogue One. And because he sounds exactly like James Earl Jones, his Rogue One redub sounded better. Because it sounded like James Earl Jones from back in the 70s. Are you using the Stream VOD or Simo Record? I'm using Streamlabs. I don't know why I had to look. I know that. You've been good background noise while I've sliced up an onion, a potato, and a head of garlic to roast for an hour. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad. That's my job. It does, if you edit so much, it would be just as much work to record it the old-fashioned way. Wait, what am I? Are you using the stream? Oh, I'm not going to be using the stream VOD. I'm going to be using theater mode after the fact. Oof.
Shields are full.
Fuck AI art. Support flesh and bone artists. LNG, do you have a stream schedule? Are you on Twitch? I am on Twitch, and I'm going to be doing a lot more streaming on Twitch. I miss James Earl Jones. I think we all do. I think we all do. Wait, who's the announcer supposed to be saying rocket launcher in 10? Yeah, it's not Lasky, it's I forgot who. It's well, I mean the voice actor, it's Stephen Bloom is the voice actor. But they gave him I think what they gave him is the mathematically worst radio filter on planet Earth that anybody has ever made. Outside of the Halo Reach radio voice filter. Because Steve Bloom sounds unrecognizable, and he sounds like he has a sinus congestion. Like, rockets up in 10. Sniper rifle on the field. It's a terrible radio filter, and it just butchers his voice. In my opinion, I think the gold standard radio filter is whatever they used for Combat Evolved. They probably used a very generic stock radio filter. They had the, you know, and then like, and it had some radio static and then to turn it off. Like, don't think too deeply, or you'll ruin it.
1 minute left.
Ah! Peace, LNG, and good night. Good night, friend. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but if someone in the family or someone who died gave permission to use their likeness for AI or not, it's still very gross. I don't quite know how to feel about that, because it is ultimately up to them, and I guess it's like if you could support your loved ones, even post-death, by selling away, like, your voice or your likeness for commercial use, like, that gives, you know, like, the surviving family, like, a source of income. And it's complicated. It's really complicated.
Game over. Defeat.
Alrighty. Oh. It's weird seeing all the distrust in Rockstar these days. I think there's just a lot of distrust in most major game studios now. People have been burned. The only people I trust are id Software. GG, love your content late night. Keep it up, brother. Thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate it. I love a flawless impressionist voice actor. The real deciding factor will be whether you can find them for every character you want, not to mention which one costs more. For sure, for sure. As well as, they may be good at reciting lines, like famous lines, but would they be able to have range then? Would they be able to do an impression and say stuff that character or actor has never said? Would they be able to, create new depth that feels faithful to the original performer and not like, okay, now you don't sound like him anymore, you know, or her. So yeah, it's definitely true. But, Mint Blitz. It's over, Mint Blitz. The stream's ending, buddy. I'm sorry that you had to be here, but I'll see you later. I shall see all of you later. All of you. Mint Blitz, we gotta have you on Warthog Radio, dude.